Hello, Ted. My name is Jason Mallory. I'm scheduled to do TEDx South Lake Tahoe, but it was postponed until spring of 2013. So I thought I would put this video together and hopefully get in on a main conference. This is a working draft of the speech. I'd love to know what you think regardless. It's regarding a book I've written titled Proxy. It's science fiction, but I've received a letter from a U.S. Senator about the content, and it is robots in the economy. So, without further ado, here's the sample speech. Hello world, my name is Jason Mallory. I'm here today to talk to you about robots in the economy and how to responsibly assimilate them into industry and society. As capitalists, profitability is our roadmap. There are very few instances in history where what has not been profitable has succeeded beyond what has been profitable. And based on that understanding, as robotics become cheaper, faster, and better at doing human jobs, more and more humans are becoming obsolete due to profitability of robotics. We've already seen this in factories, we've seen this in production lines, we've seen this with ATM machines and self-checkout machines, and we've seen this in farming. There is a great book, The Grapes of Wrath, by John Steinbeck, which really illustrated a real-life situation where many farmers were replaced by a machine, the tractor, based on profitability, and it created uncontrollable amounts of unemployment, economic refugees willing to work but unable to find work and unable to feed themselves. And that really happened. So let's try not to have that happen with robotics. So why do this to ourselves? Why not stop the creation of robotics? And the answer, dun dun dun, is that technology only evolves. It does not de-evolve. It does not go in reverse, especially not in the information age and when colleges have robotics departments. It's something that's becoming public ability. And to put it another way, the internet is pregnant with the robot and there's nothing we can do about it. These are becoming things people can build in their garage, and it's something we need to adapt to as a reality. So, how drastically will robots affect us and when? And while researching this over the past few years, I've looked at costs of robots, the development of these technologies, cost-benefit analysis over people, a number of different things to include interviewing face-to-face a top-notch robot inventor for the U.S. military. And from all of this stuff, I've basically concluded that we're going to have the ability, or it's more than likely going to be profitable to use robots over humans in minimum wage jobs, physical labors, that type of thing in 20 to 30 years, where we're going to be looking at basically a third to half of the employed people being replaced. This equates to the potential of a 50% unemployment rate in 20 or 30 years. Not good. So, this reasonable conclusion is double the unemployment rate of the Great Depression. It would destroy the consumer cycle and possibly break capitalism. To give an example scenario, there are two auto mechanics. One is open 9 to 5, Monday through Friday. It's run by a human being. The other is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and it's run by a robot. So you can take your car there at any time, and it will get fixed sooner. The human mechanic charges $80 per hour, while the robot only charges $40, and can still operate profitably because it does not need to pay another mortgage. It lives at the shop. It does not need to pay health insurance. It does not need to feed a family. It's able to function profitably at a much lower rate. So, which mechanic are you likely to use when your car breaks down? Probably the cheaper, faster, better one, the robot, especially if you are replaced by a robot as well and cannot afford to pay twice as much. Now, that human auto mechanic will likely go out of business, not be able to pay his mortgage, not be able to feed his family without help. And it begs the question of me, how many men who know how to work with metal will it take before this is not an economic issue, but the potential of a civil war? And I hope I never know the answer to that question. And to bring it back into economic terms, this is what's going on. So if we were able to produce, to cheaply supply a lot of goods and services, but not demand these goods and services because we've laid off half of our workforce and we no longer have a thriving consumer base, then our consumer cycle becomes unbalanced, and it does not cycle, it does not roll, which makes for a very bad economy. So we need to take measures to preserve the consumer cycle. This graph is what will likely happen if the natural gears of capitalism are left to decide our economic fate. That is without any government intervention. And now for the good news. I have invented a law. It's a legislative idea. It's a legal check and balance system for these technologies. It would give the infrastructure to responsibly assimilate robots into the workforce. And the following, or something better, should be amended to the Constitution. Every citizen has the right to one equal share of the robotic labor force, an equal vote for what it performs, and a share of what it produces. I'll say that again. Every citizen has the right to one equal share of the robotic labor force, an equal vote for what it performs, and a share of what it produces. The vote is to maintain democracy, and human beings being in control of what robots do. And not just a very small number of human beings who own them all, but a democratic vote for what robots do in society. The share of what it produces is to maintain the consumer cycle and create a more free version of capitalism than we currently have today. Essentially, citizens would be paid a living wage for taking on the responsibility of deciding and voting on what their share of the robotic labor force does. People would not be needed nor financially forced to work beyond that, which can evolve our current system out of a working class system and into something more free. So how would this wishful thinking actually work? And basically, it's a DMV for robots. Just like we have a DMV, a Department of Motor Vehicles, where we go to register our cars, we take driver's license tests, we pay registration, we're made sure we have insurance, these types of things. The DMV for robots, the DRL, Department of Robotic Labor, would be a place where we would take robots to register robots. We would also go there to vote for what robots do in society, and if you were a business, you would go there to rent a robot as an employee. It does not matter the business size, a big business or a small business would both be on an equal playing field and be able to rent robotic labor. This would stop a drastic consolidation into big business in that small business would not have the working capital to get over the hurdle of fixed costs of buying the robot before using it. Instead, we'd actually be able to use these technologies sooner and have it on an equal playing field where both small and big businesses could use it. So we'd not have a consolidation into big business, and we'd maintain a middle class, which is very good for the economy. The rental system would function similarly to defense contractors, where private or public companies would be able to develop robots, but only manufacture them under government legitimate regulated use for the robotic labor force. Rental fees for businesses to employ these robots would be used to pay for the manufacture of the robot as well as the living wage of the now displaced human worker. If we did not use a rental system and instead let individuals or companies produce, control, and profit from robotics as we do virtually any other product in the free market, it would eventually destroy the consumer cycle and dangerously allow individuals to have unregulated control of what could be used as an army of robots. Instead of proprietary ownership of robotics, having a shared government ownership of robots the same way the government owns its military and those assets is a much safer and economically sound decision, and one which would enable the preservation of democracy by enabling citizens to have a vote for what robots do. If an individual or company owns all those robots, you can't tell that guy what to do with his stuff, but if the government owns it, you have a vote, and thus we are still a democracy. When talking about this with people, I'm often asked, what are people supposed to do if robots are doing all the jobs? What is our meaning? What is our purpose? And to that I answer, what do you want to do? For generations, we have been using things like the education system to turn human beings into human resources, to make tools of each other because things need to get done and people were the only things that could do it. But now, utilizing robotics, we can evolve out of that working class system and let people find purpose, satisfaction, and meaning from what gives them joy, not just what gives them money. This is an opportunity for a new renaissance of arts and sports, culture, and technologies, which can be had in a world where we are making friends with each other as opposed to tools out of each other. So, sounds like an obvious choice to me. So what now? How do we do this? What do we do? What? Well, I'm doing this. I would like to speak to the President of the United States of America. I'd like to speak to leaders of the United Nations. I'd like to present at the World Economic Forum. And most of all, I would like $100 million. The money would be used to produce this science fiction story into a movie that could be released globally and get the global conversation started on this topic. I believe that it would allow us to use democracy with an educated voting populace to keep human beings in control of where humanity goes. And that's what I'm working to do. So, if you would like to help, you're welcome to go to proxy by Mallory1.com. If you share this video, you get a free copy of the ebook. If you share it with your congressman, kudos. Any other help you can offer, there is a contact form, and I would just like to say thank you for your time and your resources. And Ted, I hope we're a go. See ya.